It's funny because my setting still says pause though. All right, so I think for now we're good now.
All right. So let's call this meeting to order. I think we'll start out with roll call.
Commissioner Clute,
Here.
Commissioner Peterson,
Here.
Brittany Berge,
Here.
Janice Crane,
Here.
John Stippen. He was on a bit. I'm gonna count him as present. He's been in and out. And then Louise Palmero is in Florida, so she's excused.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Carrie Ann. Are there any modifications, additions, and changes to the agenda?
Not on our side.
I don't think so here either. All right. And any declarations of potential conflicts of interest? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 2, approval of minutes from the advisory committee meeting on September 19th, 2024, which are attached in the agenda packet. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
All right, I heard a motion, and then is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, that sounds good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, moving on to the fun part, the discussions. All right, so we need to finalize the date for the celebration. I think that is probably a top priority. I did have a chance to meet with WHAM, and I know we were kind of trying to figure out like how much involvement they may have to base our dates around. So they said that they would try to participate whenever we wanted, but they did say that if it was on Labor Day weekend, which is their biggest fundraiser, they wouldn't have nearly as much capacity to help participate. So I think looking at the calendar, let me move to 2025. We were talking about like one of the last weekends of September, right? In previous meetings, and we would do it for a whole weekend. I don't know if we want to just do it a Saturday and a Sunday, or like a late Friday afternoon through a Sunday afternoon. But if so, I was thinking like the either the 19th through the 21st or the 26th through 28th. Does anybody?
I'd probably prefer a Friday and Saturday. I think Sunday, you have a lot of people out because that's like football season and stuff. And also, I think that's Oktoberfest weekend too in some places, like the Fresh Hops in Hood River.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we should probably look at the calendar of other.
It's somewhat 2 years out, and getting our date out there. I want to make sure that we get out of this meeting with a hard date. And what we had previously said was the 11th, 12th, and 13th of September, or the 18th, 19th, of 20th of September.
Okay.
And so that's sort of what we had got into. And then from there, we're trying to get closer. And I'm getting pressure from our events coordinator because we've got weddings that are trying to book.
Right.
One of those 2 weekends. The wedding will take either one, but she wants to sell it. And so it was my fault. I should have brought this up at the last meeting. So we've been sitting on it for a while.
For the people waiting on an answer for reserved dates on the wedding, is this just like a recent one or like a couple months ago or what?
They started looking at this date.
Yeah, because this is 2 years out. Just wondering.
No, that's what they want. They want the second week or the third week in September in 2026. We
think
Jeanette booked weddings
I
a
think
couple years ago.
earlier would be better. I have a feeling there's a lot of competing events in Hood River in that later
Well,
week of
like Hobbs
September.
Fest is October, and always has been. So I don't think that's a competing.
No, but I'm talking about the Fresh Hops Festival.
Oh,
The first weekend in October, usually,
Is it? Okay, I forget.
isn't it?
But,
I think it is.
yeah. It's around the same time as Harvest Fest, which if you have that going on the same weekend, you're not going to get a good
Fest is
turnout.
also October.
Yeah, I can't think of anything around, the 12th weekend. I don't think there's any competing events there.
Yeah,
My only concern, well, let's see. No, September 12th through 14th would be probably fine. I think we should reserve the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at least, and set those dates. And then if we decide not to do Sunday, we're not going to advertise those dates to the public quite yet, but just keep them on our books. And then we can decide if we want to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or just Friday, Saturday. If we're doing bungee jumping, I feel like having a whole weekend of it would probably be really cool to give everybody the opportunity to do it and have more time slots. But that's another discussion that I haven't brought up yet.
So the 11th and 12th and 13th are available.
11th is a Thursday.
I'm showing it as a Friday on this calendar, straight up. Let me double check that.
2026, right?
Yeah.
11th is a Friday.
Yeah, 2026 in September, confirming on a different calendar, is a Friday. So it's the 11th, 12th, and 13th. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I think my only concern with September 11th is that it's September 11th.
That's going to conflict with the WAM's fly-in too. Theirs is always the weekend after Labor Day.
Oh, I thought it was on Labor Day.
No, the cross channel swims on Labor Day, and then WAM is always the weekend after.
Let me see. I'm pulling it up.
I think the chat's turned off, but it's on their website.
Is WAM actually interested in participating in our event?
They said they would, in whatever capacity they have available. When I talked to them, they said, doing any kind of flybys and stuff might be difficult, just because they only have a few planes that have, insurance at any given time, and only a few people who can fly them. That they'd be more than willing to help with cars, but if we do it on the weekend that they have their fly-in, they definitely won't have capacity to have people drive cars over to Hood River or to Cascade Locks.
Now their fly-in is only on one day, right? It's not a whole weekend.
It's usually a weekend event. September 7th and 8th was 2024.
Okay. Yeah, I think it sounds like we should go later September then.
Yeah. So September 18th through 20th, I think would probably be a good fit.
Okay.
Does everybody have agreement on that?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Will Freem's Oktoberfest matter to this event? I don't know how big that is, but
I've never
potentially. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. People can attend both in one day. Ours is
What
gonna
if we
be
had
a
Freem
free
involved?
event anyway.
If we had Freem involved, like a little booth.
make them do Oktoberfest at the fly or the.
Yeah, make it a little bit more fun.
I mean, they usually do it with grasslands too. Does well.
I also feel like the Bridge of the Gods parking lot, like the Bridgeside parking lot, could be one of the HQs for this event if we talk in advance with Best Western about maybe hosting an event there, like an area where people can visit booths and stuff like that, or in the roundabout in the park on the way up to the bridge.
Yeah,
Off topic, but
in the park would be a cool spot.
That's a little off topic at the moment. I just want to make sure we're good with the dates. I know we keep going back and forth, but I don't think we need to worry too much about other event dates. Like if we put our dates out there, then hopefully other events will plan accordingly.
yeah, I think Frame is just a 1-day event for Oktoberfest, right?
Yeah, well, and if they do it, people can go to both in one day. It's not like
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you're waiting for the barbecue, that takes like 3 hours to get through the line. So
So, all right. So I think I don't think do we need a vote, Jeremiah, on the dates, or is general
I don't hear anybody objecting, so I think we can say by consensus we selected the 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. All right. So updates on directives and tasks. So I'll go first since I have a couple updates. As I said, I talked to WHAM. Their involvement is, I don't think that we're going to be able to pull off like a full air show for this, especially if WHAM has very limited involvement capabilities. I've been trying to get a hold of Red Bull. I did talk to them about sponsorship. They're not interested in sponsorship from the normal Red Bull perspective. They just don't do events like ours. The Air Force, though, has not reached back. The Red Bull Air Force, not the Air Force, has not reached back, though, about any kind of air involvement. So I'm just thinking logistically that an air show might not be the best way to celebrate the bridge. The airport is what, 2 miles away from the marine park and where all the events are going to be taking place. So I think it would cause quite a disconnect if we had people set up over at the airport or the airfield plus down at the marine park. There just didn't seem to get a lot of interest on the air show piece. So I don't know. But they did say that they would drive out some cars like they did for Hood River if they could get the cars out of the museum. They said a lot of times they break down right at the end of the driveway. So
I wonder if the Air National Guard out in Portland would ever be interested in scheduling one of their practice runs in the gorge on our actual event date. And then they could just like fly right through the gorge.
Sure. We could probably get some sort of flyby. I was at the Hood River homecoming game, and a big giant helicopter took off in the baseball field and buzzed the stadium. It was pretty cool. So I think we can get some sort of cool flyby. It may not be an old plane, but
yeah, or maybe our firefighters, they have connections to the air fleets out there, to kind of raise awareness about how the
fire season.
Yeah.
The WHAM did say that they supported the Hood River Bridge celebration with a fleet of different vehicles kind of walking through the decades to show, and they could do the same thing for us. And then
that's awesome.
If we can get some car clubs on board and maybe invite them in to do a car show, that would be cool. So we could definitely grab some attention with that. But yeah, flyby stuff. Dan Marr, I talked to him about possibly when I was with you, Jeremiah, to talk to the Air National Guard for scheduling a flyby. They actually have like a form you can fill out to request a jet flyby. So like
Cool.
we could totally do that to kick off an event.
That'd be awesome.
Also, you might want to explore the connection through Kevin Greenwood with the Port of Hood River, since they own the airport that Wham is part of. If he knows anyone else that would be interested in an event like ours.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I think, I mean, just from my own personal opinion, logistically, I don't know how anybody else feels about it. Speak up if you do have an opinion one way or the other, but that having some kind of air show just logistically doesn't make sense, in my opinion.
I don't think it makes that much sense with the bridge either. Like, there's
right.
like one plane that's floating over under it.
A car show, because cars drive over the bridge every day,
Mhm.
but
I'm gonna
there's
actually make that same comment.
We could do a boat parade.
Cool.
That would make sense. Boats go under.
right boat parade and a car show. So Janice had brought up a fun idea a while back, and so I decided to reach out to the company that does this, but bungee jumping off the bridge. So I reached out to Bungee Oregon, who does the bungee jumping in Bend, and they are extremely interested in doing a weekend of bungee jumping off the Bridge of the Gods. So it looks like Tuesday, Jeremiah and I have a call with the guy who owns Bungee Oregon, to just work out some of the logistics things that might come up with permitting, and just if they need to have some kind of temporary structure, if we would need to close a lane on the bridge, like all of that kind of stuff, just to talk about like what it would take to set up bungee jumping on the Bridge of the Gods for a weekend. And if they, if how many people would we be able to sign up for it as a first come first serve type sign up sheet, and how that would look. I mean, that's getting into some of the nitty gritty details. It's more, I did talk to all of the commissioners except for Ted on the port, and it seems like most commissioners are generally excited about this idea. There was a little bit of hesitation from Albert on just making sure we keep it respectful, because if somebody like jumps off the bridge anytime around that time wants to be able to not, or be able to back out of it if something like that does happen, or make sure that we separate ourselves from, we're not trying to make light of people throwing themselves off our bridge. And how to be respectful about that. So that was the only comment that came up. But otherwise, generally, the commission seems to be on board. So I want to make sure this subcommittee is on board as well, with that idea. And then we can kind of explore that further. So, Mr. Stippen, I see your hand is raised.
Thank you. Yes, I'll be the first one to bungee jump off the bridge. I volunteer and I'll pay whatever it takes. I want to do it. I'm all for it. I want to do it. I'm going to do it. And I want to be first. Okay. Thank you.
I'm scared to ride my bicycle across the bridge. I always get anxiety just riding my bicycle for some reason. So I haven't even walked across the bridge yet. And I need to do that just to make sure I can actually stand on the bridge without having a full-blown panic attack, before I sign myself up to jump off of it. But it's a once in a lifetime opportunity too. So I don't know. Brittany, any thoughts on the idea? I mean, not you personally jumping.
I think it's a great idea. I personally will not be doing that. It'll be a once in a lifetime opportunity for me to watch somebody do it, so I'm going to appreciate that.
I think there will be many.
But yeah, if we can make that happen, it'd be great.
Excellent.
Also, logistically about that, it seems like we can't completely shut down the bridge, so it'd be like a one lane type situation. Yeah.
Yep. And so we might want to limit the hours if we're doing it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just limit the hours that we allow it, something like that. And we can discuss more about that after we kind of talk to Budgie Oregon about it. But I would want to give an equal fair shot to as many people as possible. And maybe we do it to where you do it for, one single lane closure for an hour or two and then open it up for an hour or two and then go back to Bungee. I don't know. There's lots of different ways we can do it.
Sure, they have like a reservation system where they schedule their bungee jump in advance, so you know exactly what time.
If they don't, we will make sure to figure out to set that up with them somehow. And
also, surely we have data for what time of day the bridge is the busiest, right? Like,
yeah, like not early morning or late afternoon.
Yeah, I can. Once we decide that we're going to do any sort of bridge closures, we'll run numbers and look for the most opportune time based on that exact weekend for the last 3 or 4 years and see how it works out.
All right. So I think that's the only updates. Those are all the updates I have right now. Go around the room and see who else has any updates or ideas to add.
I've got 2 updates from the Port Commission meeting. The Paul Rehnquist, is that right?
Paul Lanquist.
They were excited about it. They thought it was awesome. They did want to make sure they had a little bit more information on what we would be allowed to do with that print, and also what he would be allowed to do with it, right? Is he going to print t-shirts after the fact? Can we print t-shirts after the fact? Do we own the image? Do we just have the right to use the image? Can we only use it for that day for this event? So just want to make sure we have a better understanding of how we're allowed to use that image and how he will use it in the future. But other than that, they were super excited about it, so I think kind of full steam ahead in terms of understanding his cost and looking at what a contract for that stuff looks like. So I think we can move ahead there. The second piece was they were fine with us reaching out to the public to find out to get feedback from a surveyor in some fashion on what the public would like to see us do with the mural on the bridge. After a little bit of background on, or sort of looking through some stuff on that, it's actually the city that owned and paid for and commissioned that mural. So I reached out to Jordan and said, hey, can you get it on the agenda to find out if the city is okay with us sort of taking the lead on whatever's going to happen with that. It didn't make his last agenda. So I don't want to ask the public what we're going to do with it, and then someone from the city be like, well, you can't do anything with it anyway, it's ours, right? So we need to kind of get the sign off from the city before we make any more forward motion on that. Hopefully it makes the next agenda for the city. That's all I
got. All right. Thank you, Jeremiah. Brittany, any updates on your side of the house?
No, I don't. I am kind of like starting to like brainstorm a little bit about some more like connections and partners that we can bring into this. Thinking from like the historical aspect, I might be able to get the Army Corps of Engineers Rangers to help do something, maybe have like a booth or something, because they do historical interpretation, and obviously the dam had a big impact on why the bridge is at the level that it is.
Right.
But yeah, so I'll probably be talking to them next week when I'm back at work.
Excellent.
But, yeah.
All right. And I know in past meetings had mentioned that you might have or know about some car clubs or how to get a hold of car clubs.
There was the Oregon Historical Aviation Society that I tried to reach out to, and I have gotten nothing but static back from them. There might be, I might have some more contacts to try to reach out to more historical car clubs. Let me work on that and see what I can dig up.
Perhaps Wham
also
has.
suggest.
I
I would
probably
also
have some too.
suggest.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
I would suggest checking in with Skunk Brothers over in Stevenson. They're pretty well plugged in with the antique car community.
Oh yeah.
I just
I
think it
know
would.
that City of North Bonneville does a car club as well as or they do a car show, but the museum across the river does a car show also. So we can probably try to pull in those folks.
Yeah, since I think we're veering away from the airplane or air show idea and gonna push a little bit more toward the car show idea, it would be good to start really pushing to see what we can drum up with that.
Doesn't oh, sorry, John. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, guys. Doesn't North Bonneville do? And maybe I just missed this. Did you guys just say North Bonneville? Don't they? Doesn't North Bonneville do a car show? Sorry. Okay.
Yep, they do.
Yeah, in July.
Yep.
Cool. So I think we can make some connections between Brittany and Janice.
John's got his hand up, Carrie.
All right. Brittany, is that everything?
I think so.
All right. Well, then over to you, John Stiffen. Any updates on your end?
Not really, but the more I think about this as a 3-day event, the more I like it. The more I think about a country band, a rock band, or a symphony orchestra, I like that even more if we're not going to have some airplanes. You know, maybe music would, and there's a lot of gorge symphonies that would probably jump at the chance just to perform, to be a part of it for free. So I'm here at, we have 60 members in our choir, and we've got 7 performances from now until January something. And so but this is just a choir. It's not an orchestra, but I'm thinking music. That's all I got right now.
Oh yeah. Music is
sorry,
definitely on the docket.
It would be cool. I mean, orchestras or some kind of, the bagpipers. I loved every time I've been on the bridge when it was closed, when they had the bagpipes walk across. That was a blast. So
they had bagpipes walk across the bridge.
A whole bunch of them. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. In the last, I've seen them twice in the last probably 12 years. So that was something that it's fun. It's amazing, and they sound great, and it echoes everywhere. It's beautiful.
That would be cool.
I think it's the same group that they usually have for the Stevenson Starlight Parade. They usually have bagpipes that like lead off the parade. So you can probably reach out to Stevenson and get contacts there.
Cool. So I'm just thinking music. That's all I got. Thanks for having the meeting. And I'm sorry, I just had no audio. I had to pull over and stop to get it to work. So anyway, that's it.
I appreciate it. All right. Janice, over to you.
Yeah. I can reach back out to Paul Lanquist and I can speak a little bit to the commission's questions. He does exclusively do merchandising through the company that does the merchandising that we have in the museum store. And so that is where we would be ordering things through. As far as the usage rights, I think that that's open to negotiation. But I can reach back out and let him know that we are confirmed to move forward and he can start doing sketches, and that we have a date. I was talking to Brad Lorang a couple weeks ago, and he had suggested, maybe not related to this event, but it could be a potentially interesting thing to do, a kinetic sculpture race, which is where people build these like crazy contraptions that they drive around and they have to do all of these different things with it. Like it has to be able to go in the water and on the road, and they're super interesting. So if you guys wanted to check that out, it might be a really fun thing. It's kind of like Red Bull's like Flugtag, where they have the like bikes that have to fly or whatever, but it's a little more involved. There's one that happens annually in Corvallis that seems to be the only one in Oregon. So it might be something that we could launch here. That would be pretty cool. And then what was my other note that I had? Now that we have a date, we can start putting it on calendars and getting that out there in the tourism space. And I think I had something else, but I'll remember it as soon as the meeting's over.
No worries. All right. Thank you. Then Rob, over to you. Last but not least.
Yeah, just update on, I haven't got anything back yet from PCTA, but I'm gonna be working on it this month. I'm also starting to think about other potential partners in the gorge that could also help our vision to have a pedestrian walkway in the future. So maybe Friends of the Columbia River Gorge somehow. And then the idea of actually, now that we're getting more businesses in town, the idea of having a sponsorship of the event where businesses in town can contribute and they'll get their name on like some of the banners or advertising for this to help cover our costs.
We definitely need that. And
then eventually, by that time, Main Street Cascade Lock should be pretty mature in terms of a downtown association. So I definitely want them to be part of it. And then
the PC guy.
Yeah, Jason Wakonis, we had him 2 meetings ago.
Yeah.
He was interested, so
we should pass on the dates to him, let him know.
Yeah.
You know, we set the dates.
Yeah, once we get the minutes, we'll pass it over to him. The other things are logistics about where do we want the main staging area to be? You know, is it going to be in the roundabout going up to the bridge? Will we need additional parking? Do we need to talk to Ridgeside to see if they're open up half their parking lot for us? You know, stuff like that.
I feel like the car show would be good down at the boat ramp parking lot area if we could squeeze cars in there.
The other partnership I thought about was getting Columbia Area Transit involved too, since they use our bridge daily for their shuttles. So they would probably be a sponsor of our event too, since you know that's necessary infrastructure to have, and also highlight it during the event, like the main event, also highlight our first responders, since you know the bridge is a vital part of keeping us safe in the gorge and stuff.
Right. And I think we need to start, once we talk to Jason again, start diving into some of the details of what would constitute his support and how much that would cost us.
We have a budget, for 25,000? Is that what it is?
I think it's 30,000 total over the next, it's 10,000 a year, technically.
No, it's 10,000 this year to get us cracking, right? So that we can, if we decided to hire somebody that was going to oversee this, etc. Based on sort of the work that we get done, I'll have a general idea of what I think it's going to cost, and I'm going to put it in the budget, and then that'll get hammered out in the budget meeting a little bit. I mean, I'll work with this group but my assumption is that this 10 grand was going to be what got us started, and that the bill was, I know that the Hood River thing that they did, they were in 25 to 30 grand when it was done. In my mind, 1 to 2 to 3 days, we're probably in that $30,000 to $40,000 range. But again, it just depends what we do, and we're starting much earlier than we are, and there's opportunities for sponsorship, and we're way ahead of the game compared to what Hood River was. But I don't want us to not have enough money to not do the things that warranted how much work you guys actually put into this. I mean, we were working on it for 2 years. So
another thing I wanted to bring up about that was when you do talk to whoever talks to Paul, is what kind of licensing contracts would he agree to? Because there's a huge opportunity to sell 100th anniversary paraphernalia in the Bridgeside gift shop, the museum in town. I'd like to see that echo
Like-
beyond just the event date and it just
We
be,
give them a percentage or whatever.
yeah. And then, we could even have, the museum in town here should have first priority to like make an exhibit about it. But I know that across the river, the museum there might be interested in an exhibit too about bridges or something like that as well.
Janice has her hand up, so I'm gonna let her talk.
Thanks. I remembered my other thing. I wanted to bring back up tribal involvement, and get it on the calendar for me and Jeremiah to touch base about what that should look like and how that should get communicated and how that invitation should go.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I think we definitely need to do that, and then governor involvement. I know you mentioned that there was governor speeches at the initial opening, so if we could replicate that, that would be amazing. Our Oregon governor is still going to be our governor in 2026 unless some kind of recall or something happens. So if Dan Marr can talk to get something possible to a letter to them or something. I don't know how you request governor.
Yeah, we can certainly,
There's a web form.
we can certainly try. That's not it's a pretty big ask, but we can try.
I mean,
we also have a new House representative for our area too.
I'm sorry, what, Rob?
We have a new House representative for our district now. Jeff Helfrich lost the race, so Nick Boublon, I think is how you pronounce his last name. It would be someone we should probably connect to as well.
Oh, I didn't see the results for that one. Cool. Well, and I don't think we're not going to be able to ask the Washington governor until the new governor is in place, because I think there's an election before 20. I don't think the term that the current governor is in lasts till 2026 for Washington. So we'll have to look into that one. All right. What else was I trying to remember? We've got dates. We have a pretty decent idea of what we want the weekend to look like. I don't know. Any other go backs?
I think for next meeting, we should talk about how would we want to structure sponsorship of the event.
How we want to structure sponsorship?
Like, do we want a tier level, like gold, bronze, silver, and then also more topic about art licensing to merchants in town to continue selling the 100th anniversary items and stuff.
Yeah, they're just going to have to order it through that producer. It's not, and it's somebody that they all already work with mostly. So,
well, how does that work if an artist wants to take and sell photos of the bridge or paint the bridge? They don't need our permission or anything. We don't own the image of the bridge, right? We just own the bridge.
right. So copyright would work that the artist owns whatever they create. So if he does a picture of the bridge that's his drawing of the bridge, then he owns the copyright to that. Because of his contracts that he already has in place, he does his reproductions and printing through a specific company.
Do you just percentage at the museum?
So I buy merchandise from them and then I mark it up to sell it. So it's a wholesaler. They'll print the image on just about anything. And they're pretty reasonable.
Oh, cool. So we could probably do the same thing, and he probably gets a cut through them.
And yeah, that's how he gets his cut through, as far as like ongoing sales go. Like if I wanted to reorder coffee mugs that had the Bridge of the Gods 100th anniversary on them, I would reorder them through that producer, and he has all of that worked out with them.
Got it. and then we just refill it. Okay, that's easy enough.
I think we need to make a motion regarding Dan to facilitate communication with governor. You
We
want to vote
probably
on
need
that real quick?
commissioners.
I mean, do you guys want when we can vote? If there's anybody who's against that, then sure, let's bring it in. Generally, consensus can work on this. If we want to take it to the commission, have the commission put their stamp of approval on it, but that's going to be a heavy lift, and it's going to take a little bit of time. It's certainly something we can have Dan start to do the work on, but I mean, I know how difficult it is to get her to things. They just did that in-lieu celebration out here with a number of federal folks from all the different DC offices, and a lot of the aides were here, but very few actual elected representatives. Not saying it's not possible. It's totally possible, being right up her alley, but it's not going to be like easy. It isn't going to be like,
That's why we start early. We get on our schedule like super early. Like, come to a Friday night dedication or Saturday night. We don't care. Whenever you're available on that weekend, we'll plan around it.
You might suggest to Dan that he, in addition to contacting directly through the governor's office, try to go through the 250 Oregon Commission. Because there's a whole commission on historic events happening in 2026.
Okay. I mean, we have a direct connection to the governor through Nate Stice, right? So it's doable. But the 250 thing, this 250 commission and the number of things, historical events that are happening, that's a cool angle. So not doable, but let's not get our hopes up that we're going to get the governor out on the bridge making a speech.
So 250, is that in reference to the US turning 250?
Yes.
So we're celebrating our 100-year anniversary of the bridge on the 250 year of the US. That's kind of cool. Maybe we come up with some kind of separate t-shirt design or something.
Minted coins would be kind of cool, you know. Add some crypto in there.
I know nothing about crypto, so I don't know. I did ask some of my artist friends if they'd be interested in, setting up a booth if we do an art fair along with it, because I know we're talking about having booths, kind of a marketplace or something. My friend Jesse Brackenberry is interested. I told him he should come out and take some pictures of the Bridge of the God and get them printed up. And he sounded pretty excited about that. Plus, obviously, would sell other artwork that he's taken. And then Bonnie White as well. So to get her to paint a picture with the Bridge of the Gods in it. Or 2 or 3, who knows? So yeah, I think that there's some good opportunity to present local artists, and maybe we put an all call out there for them to just get them excited about coming and participating in our event. Cool. I think that was...
I love it all, you guys. I've got to go, but I remember we've done at our foundry commemorative coins, by the hundreds, and it'd be thousands probably with this amount of people, but for events that are very simple to cast and pour in the bronze. You cut it off, you polish it, and you dip it in some kind of liver, and it's bronze. There's a lot of options. I'll look into that, so I'll give you guys a cost. I got to rock and sing, so thank you.
All right, thanks.
Hi, John.
I'll see you guys.
I did have one go back I wanted to bring up that I just remembered. When I talked to Ted Dodd about the Centennial celebration, who's our newest commissioner on the port, he did mention that he thought it would be a really good idea to attract people to use one of those days, maybe in the early morning on one of the days, to do a run, like a Bridge of the Gods run. to commemorate the 100-year anniversary. And I was like, well, we already do a Bridge of the Gods run every year, marathon or whatever.
The weekend before is the Gorge Waterfall Run. It's that 100K trail run, I believe.
Oh. So I told him I'd mention it to the Centennial committee, to see what you guys thought. Like, I'm not a runner, so I don't really care either way, but if you guys are thinking it's like a good idea to bring more people, or if it will just add too much more confusion and stuff to the event, logistically, then, you know, I'm okay either way. But I wanted to share his idea.
Sounds like a
One
Chad
idea you could
question.
probably do, if you talk to Daybreak Racing, which does the Gorge Waterfall races, maybe have them schedule their 2026 event, to have the finish line to be in the roundabout part right off the PCT trail. It wouldn't really interfere with traffic because they would park elsewhere probably and have a shuttle or something like that. So that could be one potential. And have like a short part of that race too, like a 5K, where, you know, the average folks can do that run.
Isn't the Gorge Waterfall race in April?
I thought it was too, but could be.
Yeah, we'd have
The
to.
Bridge of the Gods runs in August, but
Yeah, I was like, I don't think the people who organize the Bridge of the Gods run are either gonna A, want to move their event date, or B, I mean, they could. It's not that much further than what they normally do. So maybe we ask them if they want to do it. But I just don't even know the logistics of the Bridge of the Gods run, to know like how much space they take up and how many people show up, like if it's going to add too much chaos to a party that we want to do. But if they do the run early in the morning and end it before noon, and then we start the day with everybody coming off the run and wanting to celebrate, I mean, that could be really cool too.
the date's really close to when they used to do the Bridge of the Goddess run, which hasn't happened for several years. That might be one to consider bringing back if we wanted to work with them again. It's run with Paula that does that one.
Cool. I mean, I think it's something we can consider and look into. I don't want to put too much stock in it yet. I just wanted to kind of bring up the idea.
I would also be hesitant to reach out to anybody else before talking to Chad, because Chad is very protective of that event, and he was not happy about Paula replicating that event for her purposes. So just to keep our partners happy.
And if he's the one that does the bog run right now, then maybe we should definitely talk to him, because we could just at least bring up the idea of just joining the two events, marrying them just for 2026, because it's called the Bridge of the Gods run. It's the 100-year anniversary. If that's when we're having our celebration, then he might consider moving the dates.
His following comes from all over the country. I don't know that he might consider it, but it might be a better like promotional event to be like, oh, hey, by the way, everyone interested in running and interested in the bridge, we're having, or like it's 100th anniversary, like it's on brand with it and it's more connected throughout the year. But
right,
we can always ask him, but
wouldn't hurt. I mean, I don't know. It would definitely draw a lot of people, but it might be biting off more than we can chew for this event too. Who knows?
Yeah, just thinking about the traffic that comes in for those marathon weekends, like it's
right.
We're pretty much at max capacity already.
People who want to go to the fest,
right?
So it might be best to just keep them separate.
I think so.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm leaning toward. But I wanted to do Ted's idea some justice and give it some thought. So, all right. Well, are there any other go backs? All right. I think we need to talk about when we want to do our next meeting. Since we're still doing a monthly, we did it. No, today is November 7th. We could do Thursday, December 5th or 12th. Keeping it on Thursdays.
Say maybe the 12th. Give us a little extra time to get more info.
That works.
And then we'll have that holiday break, and plus you don't want a meeting in January right after New Year's. So
I'm sorry, John is unavailable on the 12th,
okay.
so maybe the 19th.
That works too.
Of which month?
December.
December.
I'm also not available the 12th, but am available the 19th.
All right. The 19th looks like it works then.
Of what month?
December.
Okay.
So December 19th at 5:30, not 6.
Then you can run off to do trivia night, right?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Isn't it the Thursday before that?
Maybe it is. I forget. They just posted the schedule.
I know I can't go to this trivia night, but maybe December's. Cool. Was there anything else on the agenda? Let's see. We've talked about agenda items for the next meeting. We've confirmed our next meeting, so I think we're good if there's no other go backs. All
I'm
right.
gonna look at a couple of vendors for how much it costs to make commemorative coins and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's what John was talking about with the local foundry. You might connect with John. I mean, you should also look at other vendors, but having it be locally made would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one task John said he was taking away. All right. Well, if there's no other go backs, then I hope you all have a great weekend, and meeting is adjourned.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.